Hey history enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world, a civilization so powerful it rivaled Egypt, negotiated the world's first peace treaty, and then vanished almost overnight. We're talking about the Hittites, an empire that controlled vast territories for over 400 years, only to be completely erased from human memory until just over a century ago. So buckle up as we uncover the rise, dominance, and mysterious disappearance of this forgotten superpower. Here's something wild. Until 1906, the Hittites were essentially a ghost story. Sure, they were mentioned in the Bible, but historians had no idea they were a massive empire. Then a German archaeologist named Hugo Winkler started digging at a site called Boğazköy in modern-day Turkey, and boom. He discovered 10,000 clay tablets written in cuneiform script. These weren't just any tablets. These were royal archives from Hattusa, the Hittite capital. Suddenly, an entire civilization materialized out of thin air. Imagine finding an empire that powerful just sitting there, waiting to be rediscovered. It's like finding Atlantis, except this one actually existed. So who were these mysterious people? The Hittites were an Indo-European group who settled in central Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, around 2000 BCE. They spoke one of the oldest recorded Indo-European languages, which they called Neshili, named after the city of Nesha. The Hittite state formed from many small communities along the Kızılırmak River during the Middle Bronze Age, around 1900 to 1650 BCE. Their early kings, like Hattusa I, who ruled around 1650 BCE, began consolidating power and expanding territories. Get this. His grandson Ramesses I actually raided all the way down the Euphrates River and sacked Babylon around 1590 BCE. That's like traveling from Turkey to Iraq on a military campaign with Bronze Age technology. But after Ramesses was assassinated, the kingdom fell into chaos for decades. Brother killed brother, sons murdered fathers. It was absolute mayhem. A king named Teleponus finally restored order around 1530 BCE with his famous edict, establishing laws to regulate royal succession and end the bloodshed. After a mysterious dark age of less than 100 years, where historical records went silent, the Hittites roared back with what historians call the New Kingdom or Empire period, starting around 1400 BCE. Under King Suppiluliuma I, who ruled from approximately 1344 to 1322 BCE, the empire reached its absolute peak. At its height, the Hittite Empire stretched from the Black Sea in the north to Syria in the south, from western Anatolia all the way to upper Mesopotamia. They controlled critical trade routes and dominated territories that would encompass modern Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon. The city of Hattusa itself had around 50,000 inhabitants, massive for the Bronze Age. And here's what's fascinating. Hattusa was built in this harsh, rugged landscape with scorching summers and freezing winters. Archaeologists have always wondered why they chose such an inhospitable location for their capital. But the Hittites made it work, constructing sophisticated cities with impressive temples and elaborate palaces. Now let's talk about what made the Hittites such a formidable military force, their war chariots. While the Hittites didn't invent chariots, they revolutionized them in ways that changed ancient warfare forever. Most ancient chariots, like the Egyptian ones, carried 2 warriors. But Hittite chariots, they carried 3. 1 driver, 1 warrior with a spear or bow, and 1 shield bearer to protect the others. The wheels were positioned in the middle of the chariot, not at the back, giving them better balance. They used lighter 6-spoke wheels instead of the heavier 8-spoke design, making them faster while maintaining durability. These chariots were built with bent wood. They'd steam the wood to make it pliable, covered in oxhide leather for fire protection, and reinforced with iron. The Hittites understood the perfect formula: speed, protection, and firepower, all in one mobile platform. For years, people believed the Hittites had a monopoly on iron-working technology, and that their iron weapons were like Bronze Age lightsabers, cutting through bronze swords like butter. But modern research tells us a more nuanced story. While the Hittites did work with iron, and there's evidence they understood iron-smelting techniques, they didn't have vast armies equipped with iron weapons. Most iron objects from this period were actually made from meteoric iron. X-ray analysis shows that Bronze Age iron came from meteorites, not ore. We have a fascinating letter from a Hittite king who wrote, "Good iron is not at present available in my storehouse." This is a bad time for producing iron. They will be producing good iron, but they won't have finished yet. At present, I am sending you an iron dagger blade. So, iron working was known, but rare and difficult. The real Hittite advantage came from their superior chariot design and military tactics, not magical superweapons. In 1274 BCE, one of the most famous battles in ancient history took place, the Battle of Kadesh. This was the ultimate showdown between the young, ambitious pharaoh Ramesses II of Egypt and the Hittite king Muwatalli II. Ramesses led an Egyptian army of about 20,000 infantry and 2,000 chariots north into Syria to capture the city of Kadesh. Muwatalli had already fortified the city with an army of approximately 40,000 soldiers and 3,000 chariots. This was about to become one of the largest chariot battles ever fought, possibly involving 5,000 to 6,000 chariots total. Here's where it gets intense. Muwatalli sent spies disguised as deserters to feed false information to Ramesses, telling him the Hittite army was far away near Aleppo. Confident and impetuous, Ramesses pushed ahead with only his advance guard, leaving his main army far behind. Big mistake. The Hittites ambushed the Egyptian Ra division as they marched, nearly destroying it. Ramesses suddenly found himself surrounded, his camp under attack, with the bulk of his army still miles away. According to Egyptian records, Ramesses personally led a desperate counterattack with his bodyguard, including elite Shurdan mercenaries known for their horned helmets and long swords. The lighter Egyptian chariots managed to outmaneuver the heavier Hittite ones, and reinforcements finally arrived just in time. The battle ended in a stalemate. Neither side achieved their objectives, though Ramesses claimed total victory in monuments across Egypt, while Hittite records suggest they held Kadesh and drove the Egyptians back. The truth? It was probably a draw. But here's what makes this truly historic. 16 years later, in 1258 BCE, the Hittites and Egyptians signed the world's first recorded peace treaty. The Egyptian-Hittite peace treaty of 1258 BCE is absolutely remarkable. After years of conflict, King Hattusili III and Ramesses II agreed to peace, non-aggression, and mutual defense. A copy of this treaty, inscribed on a silver tablet, was kept in Hattusa. A clay copy still survives today in the Istanbul Archaeology Museum. This treaty didn't just stop the fighting. It opened up trade relations and technological exchange. The Hittites, who were skilled metallurgists and chariot builders, shared knowledge with Egypt. The Egyptians, masters of agriculture, shared their expertise. Both civilizations benefited economically and culturally from this peace. It's a powerful reminder that even ancient superpowers understood that peace could be more profitable than war. The Hittites called themselves a land of 1,000 gods. They practiced tolerant polytheism, incorporating not just their own Anatolian deities, but also Syrian, Hurrian, and Mesopotamian gods. Their chief deity was a storm god, depicted as a bearded man standing on mountains wielding a club. Upon dying, Hittite kings themselves became gods. Hittite society was essentially feudal and agrarian. The king wasn't just the supreme ruler and military leader, he was also the earthly deputy of the storm god and the supreme judge. Below him were freemen, artisans, and slaves. Early Hittite kings granted vast estates to nobles who could provide chariot fighters for the army, a military economic system that helped them maintain control over their vast territories. The Hittites kept meticulous records. They used cuneiform script, both in Akkadian, the diplomatic language of the era, and in their own Hittite language. These archives have given us incredible insights into their laws, diplomacy, and daily life. For example, their laws distinguished between regions this side of the river and that side of the river, with different bounties for escaped slaves depending on which side they were caught. Now we come to the biggest mystery. How did this powerful empire just vanish? Around 1180 BCE, the Hittite Empire experienced a catastrophic collapse. Hattusa was burned and abandoned. Cities throughout Anatolia showed evidence of destruction. And within just a few decades, the entire empire had splintered into small, independent city-states. What happened? The truth is, there was no single cause. It was what archaeologists call a perfect storm of disasters hitting all at once. First, there were the Sea Peoples, mysterious raiders who attacked coastlines throughout the eastern Mediterranean. Egyptian records explicitly state that the Sea Peoples laid their hands upon the land as far as Hatti, being cut off at one time. These weren't just pirates. They were massive waves of displaced peoples, possibly including Mycenaean Greeks, moving through the region with devastating force. Second, climate catastrophe. Analysis of tree rings from juniper trees in the region shows a dramatic shift to drier conditions in the 13th century BCE, with 3 consecutive years of drought in 1198, 1197, and 1196 BCE. Famine would have devastated the population and weakened the empire's ability to defend itself. Third, natural disasters. Excavations at sites like Shapanuva, about 40 miles from Hattusa, revealed walls and floors that rippled like waves, evidence of powerful earthquakes that regularly rocked the Hittite heartland. Buildings and storehouses were consumed in huge fires. Fourth, constant raids. Tribes called the Kaska from along the Black Sea coast were a perpetual threat. Hittite tablets describe how these raiders destroyed temples, desecrated statues, and enslaved priests, musicians, and workers. Additionally, the Sea Peoples had cut off the Hittites' trade routes, taking Cilicia and Cyprus, strangling their economy. Finally, internal collapse. Much of the Hittite territory had already been annexed by the Middle Assyrian Empire. Civil wars and rival claims to the throne weakened them from within. Around 1180 BCE, Hattusa was burnt to the ground by a combined onslaught from new waves of invaders, the Kaskians, Phrygians, and Bryges. The Hittite kingdom vanished from historical records. This was part of the larger Bronze Age collapse that saw multiple civilizations fall around the same time. The Mycenaean Greeks, the city of Ugarit, and others all crumbled. The interconnected Bronze Age world system, with its complex trade networks and specialized economies, proved fragile when multiple crises hit simultaneously. But here's the thing. The Hittites didn't completely disappear. After 1180 BCE, several small Neo-Hittite or Syro-Hittite city-states emerged in Syria and southeastern Anatolia. These successor states, like Carchemish, preserved Hittite culture and identity for centuries. These Neo-Hittite states wrote in Luwian, a language closely related to Hittite, using hieroglyphic script. They maintained Hittite artistic traditions, religious practices, and political structures. Some of these kingdoms survived until the 8th century BCE, when they finally succumbed to the Neo-Assyrian Empire. That's over 400 years after the main empire fell. And if you look at modern Turkey, many city names are derived from their ancient Hittite names, cities like Sinop and Adana. The Hittite cultural impact on Anatolia never truly vanished. What makes the Hittites truly unique among ancient empires is how completely they were forgotten. The Egyptians remained in historical memory. The Assyrians were remembered. The Babylonians were famous. But the Hittites? They were extinguished completely from human consciousness. For over 3,000 years, nobody knew the Hittites had been a major power. When archaeologists finally uncovered their capital in 1906, it was a revelation. Here was an empire that had negotiated with Egypt as equals, controlled vast territories, developed advanced technologies, and maintained sophisticated diplomatic networks, and the modern world had completely forgotten them. Every autumn, scholars gather at excavation sites in Turkey, and it's like unwrapping Christmas presents. You never know what new tablets or artifacts will emerge. Each discovery has the potential to rewrite our understanding of the Bronze Age. The field of Hittitology is one of the most dynamic areas of ancient history because there's still so much to learn. So there you have it, the incredible story of the Hittites, a civilization that rose from small communities to become a superpower rivaling Egypt, revolutionized chariot warfare, pioneered diplomatic treaties, and then vanished almost overnight in one of history's greatest collapses. They were forgotten for 3 millennia, only to be rediscovered and revealed as one of the first great empires of the ancient world. The Hittites remind us that even the mightiest empires can fall when multiple crises converge. But they also show us the power of archaeology and scholarship, that lost civilizations can be brought back to light, their stories told again, their achievements recognized. What do you think? Does the Hittite collapse sound like a warning for modern civilizations? Or are you more amazed that they were completely erased from memory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into ancient history. Until next time, keep exploring the past, because every civilization has a story worth telling, even the ones we forgot. See you in the next video.